Our nonprofit has commissioned a documentary called Collision Course, Teen Addiction Epidemic. It is free to the public. It is on KVIE this Sunday at 6 o'clock. That's our local PBS station, which reaches 1.4 million households in Northern California. This is a resource that could be deployed at no cost through our school system. I'm not a proponent of my documentary in particular. There are other good documentaries that tell the same impressive and compelling stories with the goal of changing behavior, changing teen and parent behavior, changing parental awareness about the danger that lurks in their own medicine cabinet. But I think it's incumbent upon this committee to look at teen substance abuse the same way we look at bullying. There are now state laws that mandate an anti-bullying curriculum. We need to be taking the same approach towards the deadly disease of addiction. And I'm going to leave this copy with the committee. As I said, it's free to the state of California.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tom Renfrey with the County Alcohol and Drug Program Administrators. I just have one brief comment. We administer the public system of care for the prevention and treatment of substance use disorders. I did appreciate what the representative from Pharma said about the need for more treatment options, and often this gets overlooked in other approaches to this problem. But we do have a shortage of treatment programs. There are long waiting lists. Over 60% of the funding for treatment programs currently comes from public sources. We've been trying for years to get a parity bill passed through the legislature that would require health plans and private insurance to cover treatment for substance use disorders on a par with other health conditions, and we're hopeful that the state will continue to look at this as we have a plan that we are being required to prepare for health care services that focuses on the need for behavioral health services, and a plan for how we're going to address those. And we just would encourage the committee to keep treatment as an important part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
If I share this with you?
Sure.
First of all, I want to thank you for having this hearing today. We lost my daughter, Vanessa Coriel Porter, 18 months ago to an accidental overdose of Opana, and we have been waiting for this day to happen. We feel that it does start with a conversation to start addressing these problems. Quickly, I just want to share with you our personal experience with our loss. Vanessa passed away on June 17th, 2010, 4 days after her 22nd birthday. She was an amazing young woman. She graduated high school early with a 3.8, finished her first semester of college with a 3.8, and through people got introduced to drugs and alcohol, and that started a real problem for her. She had just put together 6 months clean and sober, and that was tested through a recovery facility and also sober living. On the night that she passed away, she got picked up from work by two girls that she knew, taken someplace, dosed on the drug called Opana, made by Endo, which is far stronger than Oxycontin. Because the young man who administered this drug was on probation for doctor shopping and for prescription drug sales, he did not want to call 911, and so he let her lay there for 9 hours while she passed away. At midnight, when I got home from a meeting from the church that I was serving at, Vanessa wasn't home, and she was always open about her problems. She never hid anything from her parents. I got very concerned. I started calling the phone at midnight, 4 rings, voicemail, 4 rings, voicemail. He turned her phone off at 12:30 in the morning and let her lay there, as I said, fearing for his own future of being incarcerated. When I spoke to his probation officer about this, when it was told to us that they were not going to revoke his probation, the thing that I couldn't believe was, here's a kid who's selling prescription drugs. He has a history of overdosing other kids. He's on probation. Why don't you revoke his probation? And he said, well, you're not talking about a great deal of time. I said, time is not the issue here. It's accountability. Because if you don't hold him accountable, he will do it again. And his response to me was, well, we need to make sure that we take care of his emotional well-being as well. So they did not revoke his probation. And within, they sent him back to Indiana. Within a few months, he was back in California and arrested for selling the same drug again. So this is the devastation that happens to real families. Some of us parents and families out here who have lost our children. And these are good kids. You know, they're not defined by their addiction. They have a future of hope and promise that's taken away from them. As far as the drug manufacturers and what they can do to be more accountable, you know, there are many things. If we look at Endo, the crush-resistant formula that they proposed to the FDA was turned down. It was rejected, but it was resubmitted, so they need to be working in conjunction with the FDA. If you go online, there's a $25 back coupon that you can cash in for Opana without being seen by a doctor. You can apply for free Opana if you can't afford to pay for your prescription. The government will pay for it. There's a new generic formula that's getting ready to be released, which will make it less expensive. There is a forum, like we've heard about today up here, called Blue Light, where you can actually go and get instructions on how to break it down to an injectable form. The respiratory arrest is how it kills. There is just no accountability. Our personal pharmacist that knew our children from the time they could walk pulled my wife and I aside a few days after Vanessa had passed and said, what did she die from? And we explained it was Opana. She explained to us that there had been a crew of young people that came to our pharmacy from out of the area once a month with a prescription and cash money in hand to buy those. And she refused to fill any more of those. And if you look at somebody that's a non-conforming prescription, if you're a young, healthy person and you're holding a prescription for brain cancer, I think that it's pretty simple to trace that back and find out what the issue is. A simple code could be created by the pharmacy industry to red flag these prescriptions, to be able to take them back. If you don't fill it at one, oftentimes they'll go to another pharmacy and get these prescriptions filled. So people do need to be made aware of what's taking place and try to work together on this issue. There are many layers to it, but there are some simple places that we could start to make a difference in this. I just wanted to read you something quickly and then I'll finish. This is from an Endo drug rep on the internet. I love this site for gaining general information on what is going on in Endo. However, as a Michigan rep, the rumors are ridiculous in regards to Opana ER. It is not our fault that we have unscrupulous doctors who are writing Opana with both hands. Yes, our goals have been to increase astronomically, and yes, we are still making them. Is that our fault? I have personally stopped calling on many of these doctors. What else are we supposed to do? Not one of you who post on here would be complaining if these were your numbers. So please don't blame us. It's the job of the FDA and other government agencies to stop these doctors, not us. So that's from a rep of Endo that's out there trying to increase their profits dramatically. Also, in closing, there have been two assembly bills proposed by Tom Amiano that are basically Good Samaritan. If you're with somebody who goes into distress over alcohol and drugs, if you call 911, there would be limited prosecution. Those have failed both times. We strongly encourage you to help with this. I do not endorse the legalization of any drug, marijuana, any drug. I feel that they're all dangerous. But I do believe in calling 911 to save a life, to help someone potentially turn their life around and better their future. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you. Do you have additional witnesses that would like to step forward and speak? Well, you're not together?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. My name's Tish Westrup, and Vernon really just...
You know, you can come on in, take a seat, and then we'll just go in order as we go. And I'm turning the meeting back to the chair, so...
Okay. Yeah. My name's Tish Westrup, and Vernon pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. He took the words right out of my mouth. I, too, lost my daughter to an overdose. Same thing. She went to college. She graduated, got a degree. She was 23. It started with OxyContin and ended with heroin. And she had 6 months sobriety. She did sober living, the whole thing. And one night after an outpatient rehab she attended after work, a 19-year-old went and got her heroin and injected it for her because she did not like needles. And I have the whole last minutes of my daughter's life on audio tape, and nothing can be done to this person, which is ridiculous. There's got to be laws in place, like Vernon said, that we can prosecute these people. I mean, we have places we can leave babies when we have babies. Instead of dumping them in a trash can, you can leave them at a church or a hospital or a fire department. But these kids are afraid to call to help their friends because they're worried about getting in trouble. So we need new laws in place that can prevent this. We need to get these drugs off the street. One time taking these pills can kill a kid, one time. And I have an 11-year-old that said to me the morning I found her lifeless body in bed. I had to go upstairs and break the news that his sissy had died. And all he did was start crying and said, "This is the worst day of my life." Every day, my kid lives in that house now. He walks by his sissy's room. He sees their pictures. We have our good days, we have our bads. This was just 8 months ago. And it's unfortunate that I've met all these great people, unfortunately, because we've all lost our children to these drugs. Something needs to be done. And in closing, for me, these cuts that are going to take place to the Department of Justice is only doing an injustice to the citizens of our state. Because without those special task forces out there on the streets to fight these drugs, the Cures program, everything that they offer, and I'm from your district as well, these kids are dying daily. Numbers, I hear two a day. All young. Good backgrounds, good families, good educations. They're not, homeless living in the street, what you think a drug addict is. These are good kids, and they're dying daily. So the budget cuts is not the way to go. Not that department. We need them for everything.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that the Senate did pass the Good Samaritan bill 2 years in a row. Yeah, and we will keep trying to do these things, and we need your suggestions and help. Unfortunately, when government gets cut and cut and cut, we can't fund the schools so that our kids get engaged in learning and other things. We can't find them jobs. We can't keep the FDA and the Attorney General's office with the task forces going. So, but there are many really good ideas that you guys have had, and we'll try to keep doing it. I just appreciate you being here.
Hi, my name's Trish Tampus, and I'm sorry, I have another sad story. Sorry, I usually speak to high school students. I've started sharing my story with them. I'm trying to get them to understand that just one pill can kill. My son Justin was 20. Here we go. I knew it was going to happen. He started having anxiety issues, and I took him to the doctor. He started taking antidepressants. And, well, to make a long story short, he started taking antidepressants and didn't like what those were doing for him. It wasn't enough. And he started taking opiates, whatever he could get his hands on, through whatever dealer he could call, whether that be another student or someone else off the street. And so one day my husband came home to find our son dead. He tried to do CPR. And he'd been gone for a while. And the coroner told us that the mixture of one methadone and his antidepressant killed him. One methadone, that's all it took. And so I'm trying to get through to these kids that just one pill can kill you. They take things, they don't even know what they're taking. Methadone liquid is passed around at parties. We have to do something. Our kids are dying. Oh, I think that's all I can say. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Diane Shinstock with United Advocates for Children and Families. Tough conversation to follow, and it's been a long day, obviously. I guess I should say I would be fortunate to tell you that my son's a meth addict and not a heroin addict, but I'm not glad about that. One thing they have in common is that an addict will do whatever it takes to get the drug, whether it's tamper-resistant or not. The Cures program has to be continued to be funded. The thing is with opiates in particular is that this is something that we control. This isn't a bunch of guys smuggling it across the Mexican border in a rubber raft, and this isn't something a couple guys are cooking out in the desert. This is something that we do have more control over. We need to reduce the amount that's on the street, interrupt the supply and demand so that there's less available, make lock boxes available or mandatory for every prescription that's been provided, keep these out of the medicine cabinets. The Partnership for Drug-Free America interviewed teens grades 7 through 12, and 2 out of 5 said that prescription drugs are much safer to use than illegal drugs. More than 3 in 5 teens say prescription pain relievers are easy to get from parents' medicine cabinets or through other people's prescriptions. 52% that prescription pain relievers are available everywhere, and that they're much easier to get than illegal drugs. So when it comes to dealing with this issue, I mean, obviously we're going to have to do what we can to prevent the amount that's on the streets, but we need to educate our kids better. There's Welfare and Institution Code that says drug prevention awareness has to be taught in schools, but it doesn't say what it is. It's obviously not working. So you've been given a lot of information today, and I really, really hope you take some action in doing something to make a difference on this epidemic. And hopefully the Public Safety Committee will start working closely with the Health Committee, because it's a public health issue as well. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Well, if there are no additional comments from the public, I just want to say that I have learned a tremendous amount today. I think it raises issues ranging from chemistry to law enforcement to the profound health of our children on every level. And I know that my office has participated for a number of years because of this woman who I would now say is my friend. I didn't know her when she started it. She started a foundation, it sounds like the Angel Foundation, to let people know about the dangers of prescription drugs, so that in the state office building where I work now, we do have a box and where people can come at any time and leave their prescription drugs. And we did work with the federal department to make sure that everybody in our district knew about the one day when you can bring controlled substances. You can bring anything and you can leave it, no questions asked. We need to do many more things like this. We need to do education. We need to look at the non-invasive, what I would say the non-invasive things we can do, like alternatives to pills. We need to fund the Cures program and some of these things. I can see that we need to do that. And I just hope that you all, everybody who came and talked today, will stay involved, because a lot of these discussions will go forward as part of our budget discussions this year and as part of our policy discussions. I think the idea of involving the Health Committee on some of this is a really, really good one as well. Maybe the Education Committee. It crosses many, many lines. So thank you. You've given us a great deal to think about and to act on.
Well, I have to say, I want to thank everybody that participated. It was fascinating. I want to thank the chair again for working with me to host this. it's clear that there are small steps we can take sooner than later, and there are bigger steps that we have to take, but they're going to take longer to implement. I read some articles about one of the opioids. It's very popular in Tennessee, and it's just exploding, and it's Opana. And then to hear about a case here locally, we're trying to get out in front of the issue before we have to address it from the criminal side in sentencing. And so if we can do more to prevent it, we want to do that. And Senator Hancock, thank you so much for being kind enough to host this. Thank you.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. The hearing is adjourned.
Every year at the California Capitol, hundreds of new bills are introduced on a wide variety of issues that could potentially affect your district and ultimately you.